Live. All right.
And we're live. All right. Once again, this is the Life on Life's Terms podcast. I'm Tom Robinson, and we're not affiliated with any 12-step program, although we're big fans of them.
I'm Chris Mandeville, and we are here at a New Way Recovery Center, who is ever so gracious to donate this space for us to provide you with this podcast. It's at 85 Quincy Ave in Quincy, Mass.
Also in Quincy, Mass tonight is the overdose vigil. If you guys want to go down to the center, to the square, overdose vigil.
Yes, because most of the people that we know have been touched by this.
Yeah.
And you can look us up on at LOLTerms.com. We are on iTunes.
Google Play.
Google Play is
Stricker.
The Life on Life's Terms podcast.
Yeah,
please subscribe. And tonight we have Brianne from Recovery Matters, and she will be discussing what I think is kind of a controversial topic, but I think it's like gone askew from what it was originally supposed to be, and it's harm reduction.
Yeah, but so I think she wanted you wanted to
get
into how you got into working for treatment,
qualify as well.
So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you both for having me here. And I do represent Recovery Matters. I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've been a nurse for 40 plus years. I was telling these guys before we started that my first job in substance abuse was in methadone maintenance. And that was back in the day when the most methadone you could get would be 40 milligrams. The longest you could stay on methadone would be 6 months. There was a 21, 90 and 180-day program. So
and honestly, I think that would be amazing now.
It would be lovely if we could at least offer it as an option.
Right. Instead of
for life.
Life.
Open-ended, no end in stage, no plan to get off it.
Right.
I grew up in an alcoholic family. I always wondered how did I get into working in this field. I was a community health nurse, and I would go into people's homes, and I would see some of the wreckage of alcoholism, and it kind of clicked. It reminded me of my own family, even though when you grow up in the middle of it, it seems normal.
It was a direct family, immediate family?
Yeah, my dad.
Okay.
My dad.
Did you ever consider going to adult children's?
I did. It's for a period of time. I did. Actually, I went to Boston College. Okay. And
nice.
In one of our religion classes, the priest that was teaching the class encouraged us to go to an AA meeting. And I remember going to that meeting, and this was a long, long time ago. And it was mostly men, and it was all white men. And they looked like my dad.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And this is prior to knowing that you had an issue.
Knowing anything. And I did. I did a stint in adult children, and then I went to Al-Anon. And for sure, having been exposed and involved and participating actively in those programs helped me in the work I do today. Because in the beginning, I'm either going to fix you or I'm going to punish you for not doing what I suggested, which was get sober.
Yeah.
And that can get you in a lot of trouble. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it was back then in the halls, like that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down up front, shut up, you don't have nothing to offer, and listen.
Take the cotton out of your ears and stuff it in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And I think that there's a place for that. I'm not saying there's not a place. Like I've always heard, don't coddle an addict.
Yeah.
Which always made sense to me. But maybe there are some addicts that need to be coddled. I don't know. But I know that
I don't mind coddling once in a while.
Yeah.
But I'm of the philosophy that if you baby them, you bury them.
That's right. But
that's me. That's my opinion.
Place for that. Yeah.
That's yes. Some people you have to be gentle with.
And that's why we got to bring the turnabout back, because that's what it was all about.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, the gift for me is having worked in the field since 1982. So I've coddled them, I've punished them, I've begged them, I've ignored them, and finally, through the grace of God myself, I've been able to intuitively know when to give somebody a little love and when to.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, you want to treat them all the way you'd want to be treated.
Right, right.
So
Love and tolerance.
We're the same, you know. There, but for the grace of God, go I. So I'm sitting in a chair. How can I help? How can I provide you? What is the quality of your life that you want to change?
Well, that's why we went through a therapeutic community. And
Yes.
there was no bullshitting the bullshitters that were
Oh,
there
no.
because we were all bullshitters. We knew when you were bullshitting. So
Yes.
that's why I believe it needs to be in existence. There's a place for that, and that doesn't exist anymore, and there's a problem.
And that's the thing. Like something like that, insurance is not going to pay for. Insurance is not going to, you know.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're talking about God or what? No, we can't do that.
Skin in the game. People
Yeah.
don't have to have skin in the game anymore, which is where that's kind of Recovery Matters came about as a response to essentially safe injection sites. That's where it started. In 2016, there was a group in Boston, and I work primarily in Boston, came up with the idea that we needed to have a place for people to inject under the watchful eye of a nurse, or of course it would be a nurse, never a doctor, because if something, when it hits the fan, it's the nurse
it's
who's
the
going to
nurse.
get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Wow.
we came together. We invited actually a report. She wasn't a reporter. She's a psychiatrist who writes for the Wall Street Journal, Sally Sattel, to come to Boston to see what we were doing. We partnered with Metro Boston Alive, which is a well-known group in Roxbury run by Greg Davis and a bunch of people. None of these people take money from DPH, which is kind of the issue. And that's where
that's what I'm saying too. Yeah, see, the Department of Health is what ruined our program, because when it went over, when it changed locations, they rewrote the program so that people would be able to complete, because the DPH needed numbers for people to complete. Now, you can take a guy coming out of jail for 20 years, and he's going to complete a 6-month program like it doesn't even matter to him. And then he'll go out and do the exact same thing and not change at all. And that's, you know, I mean, give me a break.
That's, you know, I see that. I mean, there's so many issues to talk about. I mean, we talked about harm reduction. And I worked in AIDS back in the 80s, and harm reduction back then, I was all for it. What I was for was give someone a clean needle, and they will give you a dirty needle, and that what you will do is reduce or stem the spread of bloodborne infections.
Yep.
We weren't doing anything more than, but we weren't just giving out needles. Give me the dirty needle and listen to my spiel for a few minutes.
Yep. And it's so crazy. You don't even really hear of AIDS much anymore.
Well, it's no longer a death sentence, but it is still out there. But the thing about needles is, and the bigger thing in my day was Hep C.
Yeah,
everybody was getting Hep C like crazy,
and they still are.
They still are getting Hep C.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, this is where harm reduction has kind of veered off, is that it isn't necessarily reducing the harm; it may be continuing the harm, because now there's no expectation that when I give you a clean needle, you're going to give me a dirty one back. So the streets, particularly down around Boston Medical Center and Southampton Street and Newmarket Square, is littered
right. That's
with
a
used
problem.
needles.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually watched the Drugs Inc. last night on, they call it Methadone Mile.
Methadone Mile. Well, we don't want to stigmatize anybody.
No, I mean, that's what they said on it.
But that's what I call it,
Yeah,
too.
and, you know, it's sad. I've been down there. It's right when you come off of Mass Ave.
It's
right
between
at the
Andrews
Mass Ave.
Square and 93 and Boston Medical Center.
Yeah, 1010 Mass Ave down to Tremont
That's the
Street.
first time I saw Steve Mitchell, Freedom Rock. After the guy we went through a program with, and after he left, and I was sober for a little while after I left that program that time, and I saw him there, and you know, he wasn't looking good, and he passed away now. He passed away 2 years ago.
I mean, it's a place. That area is a ghetto for lost souls.
Yes,
You know?
It seems like it's just drugs. Yeah,
it's
It is
very
all
it's
drugs.
very sad, because like I drive through there and I remember being that person.
yeah.
You know, it makes me extremely grateful, and you know, like the people out there stemming, like
I was driving down there one time. The guy with the cup.
yeah,
And I rolled down my window and I handed out the big book, the first was it 126?
64.
64, right? Pages, the little one. It's like, I look in my mirror, he's looking at me, he's like,
Yeah.
But you see, that is something that is, for me, particularly troubling, is that they don't see recovery. They don't see, even though there have to be a half a dozen, if not more, programs supposedly that
Right
are
there.
entryways
Right
for
there.
people to go into. But
oh, yeah.
they don't see recovery. They don't see anybody getting well.
No, I didn't. Like, I came into, a 12-step fellowship via incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
I went to detox. The only reason I went was because I had no hustle. I didn't have money. It wasn't to
Mm-hmm.
get sober. I didn't know anything about sobriety.
Well, that's the thing. You see, for me, getting sober was the hardest thing I ever did. And there's no way I'm going to do the hardest thing I've ever done,
While kicking drugs.
Well, no, without pain.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that's the whole thing.
I'm not. Pain is going to be the motivator.
They don't want to feel any pain
Nope.
today.
Right.
Nope.
Give me the Suboxone. Give me the Seroquel for sleep. Give me the Johnnies because I have anxiety. I tell people, I say, you know what? People that get treated for cancer, they spend 2 years. They lose their hair. They vomit their guts out. But they fight. And guess what? A number of people get through it. Recovery is hard work, really, really hard work.
Right.
But each day is a day beyond where you were yesterday if
Right.
you can possibly learn to tolerate some of the discomfort.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! And when you get that here, and when you start to see that it's kind of in the rearview mirror a little bit, it starts to feel really good.
Incredible. For me, it was just getting the first night's sleep.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it was,
Without meds, but they don't even
Yeah.
give people a chance to do that. I work, and I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and the expectation that is I write prescriptions.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a reputation for not writing prescriptions and encouraging people to use whatever it is: exercise, meditation,
Yeah. Natural
fruit
stuff.
juice,
natural
prayer,
remedies.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the medicine keeps you kind of stuck.
Yes.
In a lot of ways.
The U.S. consumes so much medication. We make up, I've said this before, we make up 4% of the population in the world, but we consume 85% of the opiates produced.
Exactly.
85%, and we only make up 4% of the population. That's an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, the narrative is that, Johnny's a great student, a wonderful kid. He breaks his arm. He gets meds from the doctor. I think that's a little bit skewed. I think Johnny might have had a couple of issues before, because there are a lot of kids that get, actually break their arm, and their parents are more
I see. So
watchful. The
that's how he
narrative
went
is
down
because we want to blame
drug.
somebody.
Right. So he got addicted to drugs because of the doctor.
Because of the
is what he's
doctor.
saying. Yeah.
Now, granted, because there's a dentist, there's an oral surgeon out in one of the fancy suburbs who prescribes 25 Percocet for every young adolescent that comes in and has 2 or 4 wisdom teeth removed. Somebody in our group went to him and had a little conversation with him, and he sees nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So there's
wow.
there are a lot of providers.
I know. Do you ask, are you in pain? Do you think? And I've been in a situation, and I've seen others in situations where they were in pain and they refused pain medication, and these medical professionals insist. And like, for me, if I'm not in the right frame of mind, you ask me more than once, I'm probably going to take you up on it.
Right.
It's like I have enough. I have enough strength to say no once, or maybe twice, but now you're going into the third time. It's like, maybe I'll take it just in case, because it just starts.
Right. Right. Well, especially when you were new in sobriety.
Yeah, absolutely. I separated my shoulder, and this was before I went through any type of step work. I was years sober. I separated my shoulder. As soon as I heard it in my head, I'm going to get pain meds prescribed and it's going to be okay. I go to the hospital. I'm under that assumption. And my higher power walks in the room disguised as my son. And my son says, "Dad, you know you can't take pain meds, right?" And I was like, absolutely, I know that. Thank you. And I looked up and I said, thank you. You know, but that's how my mind worked, you know.
It's very sad because I have a friend who's a good 10 or 15 years into recovery, and he just got rotator cuff surgery, and I had to talk him off the ledge. He said, I can't take pain meds. I can't take pain meds. And I'm like, wait a minute, Franny. Let's just take a breath. You have a wife. You have a good support system. You might need pain meds.
My sponsor took pain meds for a shoulder surgery, and he went through it, and he was afraid that if he didn't take them, he would be in excruciating pain, and he would go get something.
Yeah.
So
well, that's the thing, especially with surgery, you have to kind of keep ahead of it in the beginning.
Right.
Not for long, you know,
Right.
72 hours, and I don't.
Right,
you
and
know,
you need somebody there too,
Right.
who's
Who's
going to
gonna
be
hold
like,
them.
all
And
right.
I've been in that situation, and I was attempting to ration out these, and then some of them went missing, and then someone else was blamed, and then it was ended up a full-on relapse, and we're going on, I don't know, 3 years later, and it's still affecting my life. You know, I've seen it.
sucks.
I've watched it. You know, it's for myself. I won't take anything home. If I'm in somewhere, I have a procedure, sure. But
while you're there,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, I learned about this in one treatment center. I learned about this chemical process that happens in your body. It's acetaldehyde's made in the liver, and then it goes into this mixes with dopamine in the brain, and it's stored as a substance. THIQ is, I don't remember. You know,
it's over my pay grade at this point.
so anyway,
And she's a nurse.
I know.
yeah, I was my step grandfather's program I went through. He was pretty intense.
Really?
Yeah, but anyway, so what the bottom line is, as your body has this stuff in there, it wants to do this process. So that's why it feels like you pick right back up where you left off with the cravings right away as soon as you use it again. It's chemical. You know? We're a big bag of chemicals.
Right. And everything affects everything else.
Right.
But yet there are people that like walk on coals. Because
Right.
their mind has set them up for us.
Absolutely.
You know, your mind is a very powerful thing.
Very, very powerful. That's right.
Absolutely.
You can get through it, but that's the thing about the drugs. When you're in active addiction, your mind is clouded.
Absolutely.
That's why it's different from gambling addiction or something like this, because you're not your normal person. You're clouded. Your brain isn't working on all cylinders. And though I understand that gambling addiction is real and other addictions are real, but I think there's a little added dimension to drug addiction because it clouds your mind.
And when I went through the treatment center, you know, they send you on a Social Security appointment automatically. Everybody goes, and you know, the doctor's asking me these questions. He's like, do you have any depression? I'm like, yeah, I'm a little depressed. Do you have any anxiety? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you know, at this point, I had done 10 months and then got on parole. But there was really no, I actually graduated from a drug program while I was in jail that I never attended. I worked the entire time. And then I get to Project Turnabout, and it's the same exact program that I just went through. And I'm like, phase 1, phase 1, 2? Like,
Right.
whoa. So, you know, I didn't really address anything, but it's where I found what worked for me. And, you know, the doctor's like, okay, so you have anxiety. Would you like something for that? I'm like, no, I don't. He goes, are you sure? And I'm like, yes. I'm like, is there anything else I can do other than take a pill? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know, like a breathing exercise or something. He goes, oh, yeah. There's lots of that stuff. Okay, what is it? Oh, I don't know that. Okay.
Anxiety is the price we pay to be human.
Right. But
Well-
also, I'm getting sober. I'm gonna have anxiety over the fear of the unknown. I don't know what recovery is. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm anxious. I look back at what I've done, I'm depressed. Absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to be anxious and you're going to be depressed when you first get sober.
Absolutely.
No matter what. So I believe that if you give yourself some time and you have a lengthy diagnosis
It
and
will
you feel you still need something because you can't get past it, okay. But they just want to go, wham, here you go.
Back in the old days, you had to be 90 days drug-free before they would address your mental health issues. You know,
That's brilliant. What happened to that? It doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Well, I think
Pharmaceuticals.
the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry have wreaked havoc with this illness, this disease, this disorder, whatever.
Whatever
Right.
you wanna call it.
And we had a guest on here who worked in Big Pharma, and he was like, he talked about that blanket statement. We pull it over all medical and pharmaceutical. He works in oncology. So, like, it was, he like broke it down and separated it for us. It's,
Well, he says that there's certain people who are very dedicated and good-hearted people trying to help people.
Right, absolutely.
In that industry. So it's not the whole. But it's a huge. You look at a pharmaceutical company; it's a giant company, and some of those people are marketers and salespeople.
And we all know,
human nature.
if you cure something, you can no longer benefit from it financially. But if you treat it, you can benefit forever.
Yeah.
I mean, in Great Britain, you cannot be on benzodiazepines for more than 2 weeks. Period. The end.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Really?
I mean, that's their national health insurance. We don't have Obamacare or whatever it is, national. But that's
Single
it.
payer or
Single
whatever,
payer, yeah. You cannot. I suppose if you want and you have money, you could go out and find someone that would prescribe it more for you.
Right.
But for the general population, you can't have benzos more than 2 weeks. It's a short term, time limited.
Wow,
Let's
that's
get over
interesting.
the initial
And that's
problem.
that's another thing. Like, other countries have a completely different healthcare system.
Exactly.
As opposed to ours.
Exactly.
Like, it's
And there are levels
boggles
of
my
tolerance of pain. I've worked in third world countries where, people are living with massive, tumors on their chest and on their
or
body, or
infections,
HIV
or-
and all this stuff, and there's no pain. They use, something like Tylenol, paracetamol.
that's another thing I've heard, that
Paracetamol?
they made
I don't know how you say it.
they made pain a symptom.
Exactly, the fifth vital sign.
Yes, a vital sign. Yes,
The
pain
fifth
is a
vital
vital
sign.
sign. That's what it is. Like, oh, here, show me on this chart of 10 faces where your pain is.
I mean, you go into CVS and there's 2 aisles full of cold medications, and we all know that cold medications basically are snake oil. I mean, it might, help you sleep a little bit because it's an antihistamine, or it might dry up but it doesn't cure the common
Right.
cold.
No.
Right.
There's no cure,
Chicken soup and, sleep and those kinds of things
Taking care of
Right.
yourself.
are better, you
Yeah.
know.
I like the nose drops, but you can't use them too much.
Oh, the Afrin?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that opens
works.
everything right up.
I'll tell you,
But-
that
Well, you have
works.
rebound. You
Yeah,
get
that's
addicted.
right.
Literally.
It says right
to
on
the
it, do not
science.
use for more than
Yeah.
2 days, I think.
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's rebound.
It does the
swelling.
reverse.
Yeah.
It'll actually make them swollen and
That's
close
right.
up now.
Right.
And I tell people that, and they're like, what?
You only use it very sparingly.
Yeah.
My grandmother, at some point, my grandmother died at 40 years sober. At one point during her sobriety, she would have 20 of those little bottles with the things, the little dropper
Quick-quies,
things.
we used to call them when we were kids. Quick-qui. Neosynephrine.
Yeah. 20 of them in the thing.
So
Unbelievable. On the cabinet.
so what's going on in
So Recovery Matters is having a conference on September 8th at the local 103 in Dorchester. It's a
The
day-long,
Electricians Hall.
a day-long program, and we're going to be talking. We are open to all ways that people find recovery. We want people to get well. The group as a whole, we have pharmacists, nurses, nurse practitioners, people in recovery, and we've invited different speakers to talk about things from Jake Nichols and Allison Burns are our pharmacists, and they are going to talk about medication. We all believe in the use of medication, but we believe in it basically for time-limited, treatment-focused care. We have somebody coming to speak about Section 35. We are definitely open to coerced treatment.
Yes.
We've invited.
Tell you what, that helped me. Section 35. Yeah.
I mean, the DPH wants to do away with it.
Why?
Listen, I know people that has absolutely 100% saved their life.
I mean, the governor wanted to have people that had overdosed be held for 72 hours.
I think it should have happened.
Didn't happen.
And
Why?
I do believe it was signed into law that a Section 35 is 90 days.
What?
Or you could be held up to 90
30,
days.
30. I don't
30
think
Is it
it's
30?
It's 30.
Yeah.
30 days.
The governor has got a pretty high office around
Yeah.
these parts.
He has. He's very supportive of what we stand for.
Yes,
essentially.
How
yes.
do they shoot
It's-
that down?
Politics.
Yes, they don't. Someone somewhere didn't want that to happen, and so it didn't.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, I'm telling you, there were people that want the safe injection sites and still are, advocating for it. Here's what I say about safe injection sites. If you want to have a safe injection site in a hospital, right off the emergency room, knock yourself out. But people that live in communities where drug addiction is rampant, and even people that live in communities, like I always see it for the inner city, down on
Yeah.
Methadone Mile or in Roxbury. You're not going to see a safe injection site. That's where you're going to see the safe injection site. You're not going to see it.
You're not going to go to Arlington and
Hanover
see one.
or
Yeah.
Natick.
Where is it that? What is it that it would be? Would it be a room inside a building?
Yes, where you would come in with your drugs, and you would come in with your
Street drugs.
yes.
Yes. I think it was
Brilliant.
the first one was actually
so
a
safe
tent
when
or
you
something,
come in,
wasn't it?
It's so safe when you come in with a bag of 100% pure fentanyl.
Yeah.
I mean,
Give me a
I
break.
believe that it's probably going on underground.
Oh,
right
absolutely.
Right now,
Yeah.
in different places.
Yeah.
The-
And like you said, I'm not opposed to medicated treatment
Mm-hmm.
if it's done correctly
Yeah.
and it's monitored. Like
I could see
like
that.
we were discussing earlier. You said the highest you could go was 40 milligrams.
that was the methadone, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it got to a point where I knew people that were on like 240 milligrams.
You'd have to put it in a cup.
Yeah,
Mix it
not
with
not the little dose cup, a Dixie cup,
Nice.
little Dixie cup. Yes, exactly. And like I don't know if like maybe they were started to get paid per milligram or like I have no idea, so I can't really speak
Most
on
of
it.
the methadone clinics are private.
Yes,
And,
they
you know,
are.
so they're money making, and
Mm-hmm.
it count the people that go in. If they don't have people going in, then they're not going to be making money.
Right.
So this is an awareness event that you're having.
Yes.
And
And it's to support and advocate for recovery, real solid recovery. We
Right.
want people to come and see that there are people who are sober. I mean, the patients I serve in most of the places that I work now, I don't see anybody that can maintain sobriety more than 18 months, maybe 2 years. So we don't see people that
Or
are
they
sober
relapse.
5 or 10 or beyond. Yeah. Because it's so easy. They want you to take meds. They want you to standalone medication. I mean, some people want people to be on buprenorphine, just buprenorphine. You can walk into the emergency room at a hospital, probably a lot of hospitals, but one in particular, and say, I'm a drug addict, I'm dope sick. I don't even know if they'll take a urine on you. They'll like look at you and think, yeah, this is someone that's sick. They'll give you 72 hours worth of Suboxone to take out and give you an appointment to show up for some more. So you can
Wow.
take your Suboxone, go sell it, and get dope,
oh my
and then come back and do the same thing over again. Detoxes are no wrong door. No wrong door. So I work in a detox, and I see the same people week after week after week.
Yeah. That was a
old-
law that was written a few years
that's
back, right?
Yeah, this was as a response to the opiate crisis.
Mm.
I mean,
What's
in the
this
old days,
no wrong door. What does that mean?
that means anytime you want to go to detox, you just walk in, and if there's a bed, they have to give it to you.
Yeah.
In the
Okay.
old days, you could only go to detox once every 30 days.
Oh,
Because
Yeah.
if you tear up or waste the time that you're there, or say screw it, I want to leave, then you go to the back of the the bus.
Yeah,
You know,
and I remember a few years back they were trying to scare everybody with the red flag.
mm-hmm,
You know,
mm-hmm.
oh no, you're a red flag for Mass Health. You can't go to treatment no more. You gotta stay out there for a while, basically.
Mm-hmm. And now because people are dying, I mean, I understand wanting to prevent fatal overdoses, but I've had people who tell me they've been Narcan 19 times. What are we doing?
Right.
How are we helping people?
Right.
We are keeping them alive. Alive for what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alive to be a zombie.
Like
It's sad.
being alive is a great thing, but they can have a life that's way better.
Right.
Right.
And
There's
being
so
alive,
much
I mean,
more.
I tell them every time you're Narcan, it's like getting hit by an NFL lineman. Because we don't even know what that Narcan is doing to you. It jolts you back into reality, you know,
Yeah,
wakes you up.
I mean, they say that a
We-
normal person can just take it, but we
Yeah.
don't know how long has it been around?
Yeah, but the addict doesn't care about that.
Right,
They're
right.
shooting heroin out of a puddle.
Yeah, that was
You
me.
know, they don't care about that. So, but the point is they're clouded.
Mm.
They're not thinking right. So of course they're going to choose the easier, softer path. We're always looking for the easier, softer way. You got to have your back against the wall somehow at some point.
Right.
You know, and that's why people say that maybe the answer is to legalize all drugs. Well, I don't think so, because getting arrested and the fear of going to jail and all that stuff was a large part of my reason I had to start making a change. But I don't know. But
Yeah,
anyway, so it's just open house.
It's open. It's free for anybody. If you want continuing education credits, it costs $20.
So
But-
you have
Yeah,
you
there's
get credits.
nursing, social work, and LADC, licensed
LADAC.
alcohol and drug counselors. So
Oh,
yeah, we
wow.
give 6 credit hours.
Oh, so that's brilliant. So that'll bring the people in to
Yeah,
hear.
motivator.
Yeah,
Motivator,
we've
yeah, that's
had
good.
each one we've done. We've had more people. I mean, the talks this time are going to be. I'm doing a talk on harm reduction and the limits of evidence-based medicine, because they're using the term evidence-based medicine, meaning it's a euphemism, I believe, for Suboxone and methadone. Like that's what we need. We
Yeah,
need
yeah.
evidence-based medicine, and the evidence is that
And that's-
Suboxone.
And that's the thing. Like, Stuart, who we had on, Stuart Coleman, he would do clinical trials for the company that he worked for, and if there was a major adverse reaction, that wouldn't be recorded.
Right,
Here,
right.
no,
You
keep
only
this out
see
of
the
the study.
positive studies.
Keep this out of
Well,
the study.
see, any statistic is majorly easy to manipulate.
Yes.
Look at the
yes.
statistics about AA, and that's what gets under my skin about the statistics, is because they say, oh, AA must not work because look, he went to AA and he relapsed. Now he's using again. Well, he went back to AA for 4 more months, and then he got sober, and he stayed sober for the next 25 years.
But
What
that
about
don't
that?
count.
But that doesn't count.
Because
They
the
don't.
first time you went, it didn't work.
That's right. There's a lot, because you go in and out of the door 5 times, but you only got sober once.
And as anybody that's, I mean, I've worked in clinical trials, and we interview people and we ask them, did you take your pills? Did you do this? And if you, I mean, no disrespect meant, but when you're talking to active drug users who are in your study and you ask them questions, they might lie.
Oh, yeah, I know. And that was, okay,
Yeah.
so how do you feel? I feel okay. Did you get high before you came in? No.
No? Do you want me to say no?
Yeah. That's
yes, I
that's
did.
the all right. So you're in the trial, but we're not going to write down what you said. So just
I mean,
You're
what I mean
showing
is,
up. That's all we want.
yes,
we want
yes,
you to
we need
show
we
up.
need
what I
numbers.
mean is I have anxiety and pain. Is that what you want me to say?
Yeah. And
How do I get my script?
But I mean, the larger issue is exactly it. Statistics can be manipulated to say
Right.
whatever it is you want it
Absolutely.
to say.
Right.
Absolutely.
And-
They do it
and-
with television. They do it with fast food. They do it with anything they want.
Right. And so
Anything.
And so you're evidence-based medicine.
The limits of evidence-based medicine is what I'm going to be talking about.
Right. And evidence-based medicine to them is something that they can look at in a chart. a spreadsheet.
Yes.
And they can say, okay, check, and check some boxes, and it's not messy,
Right.
Which I guess I can understand that for people who are thinking of systems and large numbers of people. The problem is it's not reality. You're shuffling the, it's not reality.
Well,
It's
not for
dealing
the
in
population that I deal with.
Right.
I mean, because they're unpredictable, they are in denial, they're defensive, they're,
Right.
all of these, minimizing.
Yes.
Right.
They don't know anything else.
Right.
That's all they
do
know.
what they have to do.
Survival mode.
Right.
And that's hard to let go of.
Right. And, and I was living in my imaginary, over optimistic world where, I was fine. I was going to turn it around any day.
Yeah. Oh, I got this.
And obviously, when I first came into treatment and they told me that I was an alcoholic, how ridiculous is that? I've been doing dope. That's why I'm here. I'm doing heroin.
I haven't drank in 3 months.
I have been doing heroin. That's my problem. No, it's using chemicals as a coping mechanism.
Yes.
Using chemicals not to feel feelings. Using chemicals to change who you are or what your mood is. That's your problem.
Or how you feel.
That's your problem.
For me, it's they're trying to treat a spiritual problem with a chemical solution.
Yes, exactly.
Well, in the spiritual aspects, it's very difficult. People don't want to hear that.
Oh,
word.
no way. No way.
I mean, we have to tiptoe around your higher power or God. God is, I always use it. I don't care because I'm old enough now and I've been around long enough so they can't fire me anymore. But to say what you need to say.
Right.
You said something that I would go ahead. I'll come back to it.
I can look back on my life and see where something intervened. And it guided me where I needed to go to get where I am.
Well, it's all about human connection. The whole thing is really about human connection anyway. It's like I can't make you use, I can't make you stop using, but I can treat you as like a child of God who's worthy of a good life. You
that's
just
right,
have
and
to
I
be
think
able to
that's exactly
grab
right.
a hold on to something.
Being worthy, and you don't look at yourself as worthy, and you're afraid to face the fact that you don't believe that you're worthy of a good life, and you're running from that, and you're justifying your actions, and you just want to get high, and you're identifying as someone who gets high. You've created an identity around it. The politics of identity, the identity that you create when you're young, when you're 13 in the second identity crisis, they call it, when you start latching on to whatever it is that will make you feel okay and
Your
get you
peer
accepted,
group,
your peer group, right? And you go from there, and you just, that's when most of us start using.
Yeah.
And it's usually alcohol or weed or whatever.
Everybody still, to this day, how old were you and what was your first substance? And it was always cannabis or alcohol.
Right.
Yeah, I think the first
right.
thing I did was weed. I was like 11.
I did. Mine was alcohol. But it doesn't really matter. That's just because it's the most socially acceptable.
And the ones that are legal at this point, I mean,
Yeah.
nicotine. We don't even talk about nicotine. But,
It's very powerful.
Sugar.
Sugar, yes.
Sugar is a massive drug. But
and then everybody's on Adderall because teachers can't tolerate children anymore.
oh, I know it.
Yeah.
So but that's kind of like where it's come. If you have more than 5 years of sobriety, thank your lucky stars because everything is off. Everything is on the table.
Oh, I can't even. I got exactly what I needed. My higher power provided me with the only possible camel through the needle that I needed. There was no other way because I needed somebody to yell in my face, and that's what I got because I was at a TC, old school TC, and I was scrubbing the floor with toothbrushes.
Yes.
At 2 in the morning, and
Yes.
that's what I needed.
Most of the people I know that are sober that are in my age group all went to Third Nail or something like that, and that's where they got sober.
Yeah.
Third Nail, what's that?
That was one in Roxbury.
Yeah,
Oh,
One of these
I've
old
heard of
school
that.
guys.
Yeah.
And ours was Project Turnabout.
Project
in Hingham.
Turnabout. I have,
Yeah. Out in Hingham.
Yep.
It was originally in Hull, and it was co-ed. And if you were a drug addict, you could earn privileges to drink on your pass.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really going back a long way.
Long
they
time.
didn't- they didn't
So I
understand,
shared a
yeah.
post today, and it was talking about limbic
Oh, yeah.
resonance. It is about being in a room. An example, and my cousin actually really liked it. It's about being in a room full of calm people, and it calms you down.
Oh yeah.
And so basically getting
For
on
sure.
the same vibration or wavelength as the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And
Yep.
if I get around negativity, I become negative.
Oh yeah.
And so I see all these new people coming in, hanging out together, and falling off.
Oh, yeah.
When I came in, it was like, you go with those guys over there. They have a lot of time. You listen to what they say, and do what they do.
Right.
And I can't think myself. I can't think my way into right action, but I can act my way into right thinking.
That's right.
I like
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's another sad part of today is, as we talked about earlier, DPH insists that you take all comers. You can't. I mean, I work at a program that has 3 halfway houses, and I have begged the director to make one halfway house drug-free. Can't do it.
You
Can't
can't do it because
Like,
they need the funding from the Department of Health.
DPH
Yeah, we
will
DPH.
not allow you
We
to
talked a little bit about this. All right,
That's
you got a
where-
guy sitting in a treatment center, or say there's 15 guys. 10 of them want to be sober, completely abstinent. You got 5 guys who are doing medical assisted treatment. Those 10 guys' chances have now just lessened
Quite a bit.
quite a bit because they're new in recovery. They're looking over at the guy across the room who's
And it still
nodding
looks
out.
good.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've seen people I can't. He's on it. Why can't I be?
Everyone always says you're about as successful as your closest 5 friends or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Who you-
That's what they say. It's the same thing. It's the same type of deal. You're gonna kind of
You're
monkey
the
see,
company
monkey
you
do.
keep.
Yeah.
You are who the company you keep.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Like
if you're there with these people who they don't want to get sober,
Right. Right.
you know.
And there's a lot of people in treatment that do not want to get sober. They're homeless. They need a little time out.
Yep.
Their
Right.
PO has sent them there.
Yep.
They
That's that's another thing. Okay, you can be on probation, but if you have a prescription for your Suboxone, you can test dirty all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
How does that work?
When we were in treatment, it was like, you don't want to be here. You want to be here? You don't want to be here. You're wasting good get high time. Hit the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
that would be ACLU material.
But it worked.
It
Like,
worked.
Yes, of course it did.
It worked. It made you think wow, do I really? Yes, I want this. I want to live. You know? And you can't do that now. This political correctness.
That's true.
You
Right,
can't
and-
say nothing anymore.
And again,
You can't say nothing.
of course, there's room for compassion.
Yes.
There's always room for compassion and understanding, and I'm huge on that. But at the same time, compassion and understanding is playing right into the hands of the con artists that we all are when we're out there using. It's like you're bred for that. That's what your bread and butter is con artists.
Bullshit.
You're bullshitting your parents, you're bullshitting your friends, you're bullshitting your dealer, you're bullshitting everybody else all
Yep.
along the line. You're bullshitting everybody in your whole life. You think
Yep.
you're not good at it? No, you're the best. That's the best thing you're good at.
Yeah. How do you know
kidding
an
me?
active addict's lying? Their lips are
Lips
moving.
are moving. Oh, that's horrible. People get so mad at me when I say
It's
that.
true though.
Yeah,
It's true. Nothing
of
that came
course.
out of my mouth was the truth.
No.
I lied about everything.
Yeah,
Everything.
especially to yourself.
If I'm gonna get what I need, I'm lying.
I'm looking good.
Yeah.
I'm doing fine.
120 pounds. I'm like, yeah, I look great.
So I,
Okay.
So listening to you guys, it gives me hope, but it also, I'm feeling hopeless. How can somebody get sober today, other than hearing strong voices like yours?
Right.
Well, because there are certain 12-step programs who don't do it for money,
Yes.
and they're not beholden
for free and for fun.
They're not beholden to DPH. They're not beholden to the insurance companies.
Yep.
They're not, they're here to give you the real deal and the real truth.
Know.
Recovery is out there. If you search for
really
it,
want it,
if you really want it, and you like, I've been sober and I've been in recovery. I was here sober 7.5 years, did no recovery. I got everything back that I thought would make me feel okay, and I wanted to hang myself at 7.5 years sober. And then it was revealed to me. And it's not like, I say it, it's not like people didn't discuss it. It's not like I walked into a meeting and they took that book that was on the table and hid it and said, "Oh, Chris is here. He don't need to see this." No, it was being discussed. I was abstinent for a long time, and then I got into recovery.
So go ahead.
That's the thing. It's about having a psychic change. It's about working on your inner self, understanding yourself, and changing.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
Changing your identity.
I still slip all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Changing the person how you view yourself. Believing that you're already all right, and getting used to feeling feelings.
Yeah. No.
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 Feel feelings.
Not those.
Jeez.
Hit me with that bat, but don't make me feel feelings. I can take pain.
How scary can that be when I always say to them, like, they're afraid of that kind of thing, stepping off the cliff. If I cry or if I open my heart, something awful will happen. I'm like, something awful? I said, you used to go to a corner that you didn't even know who was there.
I use that example all the time. I would walk into the seediest, darkest, grimiest neighborhoods.
That's right.
To get what I need.
Yep.
But to walk into a church basement or a recovery center to save my life, I would be scared.
Right. That's right. And I used to be walking around in the middle of South Brockton.
Yeah.
At 2 a.m.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And no big deal, but actually get down to some truth that's inside of me. Look out, that's scary.
Yeah.
I have a question. So the one medication we haven't talked about is Vivitrol.
My personal opinion is I think it's great for guys that are coming out of prison.
Is that the one that goes for 30 days?
Yes.
You can't shoot dope for 30 days?
Well, you
can't get high.
You can. You won't feel high.
Oh, okay.
You can still overdose on Vivitrol.
Yeah.
Your body will die.
I use Vivitrol. It blocks the opiate receptor so that at least for the first 23 days.
23 days, exactly.
You're not going to be able to feel anything. I mean, any narcotic if you use. And unfortunately, you might keep using, and therefore you will overdose because you won't feel anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's for guys that are coming out of jail. I think there's one of the jails not too far from here. Like, you have to.
Yeah.
You get the shot when you leave.
Oh, really?
You're not leaving if you don't sign this.
A lot
so
of the guys that
shot.
I have are from jails or prison even.
But it gives them that buffer just to even think, like, why did I do that? Why I don't want this life, and they're not going to die as soon as they leave.
I mean, the good news is it's not addictive. You can stop at any time. You can take oral. And people use it for alcohol too, which I can't figure out how it works, but what they tell me and what I've read is that it decreases your cravings. So even if you can still drink on it, but what people say is that after a sip, they're not interested.
So it's kind of like when they were prescribing the vets Wellbutrin, and how you feel? Still kind of messed up, but I stopped smoking. Oh, really? And so now Wellbutrin is prescribed for a smoking cessation.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still kind of depressed, but I stopped smoking.
I have one guy that has just finished 19 months worth of Vivitrol, which is the longest I've ever had anybody on it. He's married, and when he started coming to see me, he sounds like it's a healthy relationship. He was working, he's construction, but he wasn't in the union, and he kept smoking pot. So I said, you got to do what you got to do, So then he found that he could get into a union, but he would be screened when he got into the union.
Mm-hmm.
So he stopped smoking pot. So I think, I don't know what to think. He doesn't use meetings. He goes, I may have to start going to meetings now because he's thinking of getting off of Vivitrol.
Yeah.
Well,
I know some people that have been on it for quite a long time.
He's never used narcotics again, no coke, nothing like that. Just, smoking cannabis.
Really? He took Vivitrol for smoking cannabis?
Well, no. He had a
okay.
heroin problem.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, but
I mean, I know someone that I worked with. He got injured at work. He was put on prescription pain medication. And if he got tested and came up positive, he had that prescription. He was fine. He didn't want to live that way anymore. Mm-hmm. So he was one of the first people to get his medical marijuana card. He used Suboxone to get off of the pain medication. And he supplemented with cannabis. And the way that weed's grown today, it's tailor-made for whatever you need. And, it helped him. He got off of the opiates, and it relieved his pain. It did what it needed to do. But when he got tested at work, boom.
He popped for weed.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
23 years. You got to go. You're done.
Yeah.
What?
That's awful.
But you would allow him to operate heavy equipment under the influence of opiates with all of us around, and it was not a problem. He smokes a little whatever before he comes to work, and now he can't.
Well, I think the unions, that's an area, because I talked to this guy, Jay, who's graciously allowed us to use the electrical. Is that at 103 as electricians?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they only allow people to be on Suboxone for 6 months.
Oh, union workers?
Yeah. 103.
I don't think we have I'm in Local 7 iron workers. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we have a policy. I'm not sure.
You must, because...
Yeah, if you have an EAP.
If you maybe, but if you pop for opiates, they send you to
EAP.
Modern assistance.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what Local 103 does, too. I think Sean Neely from you, he's going to speak at our program.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, I should probably come, I guess.
Come on down.
Yeah.
It's
when
free.
is it? The 8th?
Saturday the 8th.
Saturday the 8th.
Yeah.
So that's next Saturday.
What time?
It's like 8 to 3:30 or 4. You can drop in anytime.
Working hours.
I will. Are you working Saturday?
I always work Saturdays, yeah.
But
we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we haven't looked at is, we see adolescents with drug problems, but like the employed nurses, union workers. People that are in regular run-of-the-mill jobs.
Yeah, blue collars.
That have problems with drugs. That we haven't addressed. And I had a kid who was a glazer, and he was on Suboxone, and I said, "Does your union know it?" He goes, "No." And
I work with the glazers.
That's the thing. Unless they're specifically testing for it. Mm-hmm. No, we're testing you for perks and heroin, and coke, and weed.
Right. They're not going to test him for Suboxone, but he's a glazer. I'm like, oh my God. God knows. Cutting, glass and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah. We do dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
I work with the glazers. That's how we team up with them, and we do. Yeah, we're hoisting heavy stuff over people's heads all the time, and always on the edge of the building. So
if are there any websites that anyone can get a hold of you or Recovery Matters?
Yes, recoverymattersma.org. If you go to that, it's Recovery Matters MA for Massachusetts.org. You will see who we are, what we're about, and there'll also be a link to signing up for the conference if you want.
Excellent. The conference is on the 8th.
Saturday the 8th
at Local 103 Hall, Freeport Street,
Dorchester.
Right, and you get college credits for $20.
Yeah.
$20, 20 bones, kid.
That sounds good.
Sounds real good.
Maybe I might attend that.
I appreciate all the work you guys are doing. I really do. I mean,
We're
the
just-
more we put it out there and talk about
Exactly.
it and let people know that there's
Awareness. To
Yes.
be aware is to be alive.
Be aware is to be alive.
That was our motto at
At Turnabout.
Project Turnabout. We had to be aware of everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
To be
So-
aware is to be alive.
And I still use it.
And you know, it's all about understanding,
Yeah.
because the truth is out there.
Sure is. Set you free.
And the
Yes.
truth will
Set
set
you
you free.
free.
That's right. All right. So what did we do? We just about did it.
Yep.
You guys did
Once
it.
again, LOLTerms.com.
Yeah.
The Life on Life Terms podcast on Google Play and iTunes.
iTunes.
The group on Facebook.
Life on Life's Terms.
Life on Life's Terms podcast. Podcast is in all capitals, is the group. And if it's not capitals, that's the business page.
Right.
So
Which, you know, we're learning all this stuff.
Yeah.
We're new. We're new.
we're not really a business.
Yeah.
guys
Not
rock.
yet.
Not yet. Hopefully
yet.
someday.
Life on Life's Terms Foundation might have.
All
to be
right.
made
Yes.
At some point.
When you open a place, I'll be there.
Yes.
All right.
I
Absolutely.
write scripts.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Brian.
Brian, yes.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
Peace.
When did you graduate from? I had two friends from Project Turnabout, Kevin Lloyd, David Haar,